everyone. I'm Linda Schenk, and I'm the Director for Cultural Programming here at the Germanic-American Institute. We are happy to have you tuned in right now to Baking in the GAI Kitchen, German Cakes with Helga Parnell. You are in for a real treat. Helga is one amazing woman. She is our legend. And for you to be able to have the abilities to watch and learn from a professional how to make two classic German cakes is fantastic. So she's going to walk you through step-by-step instructions on how to make these cakes. And I know you'll have some questions along the way, whether you're at home right now watching or baking along or whatever you're doing. So if you have a question, type it into the chat function on your computer. Erin's going to pick those questions up, and then we'll ask Helga throughout the process. But be patient with us as we pick up the questions. There might not be an immediate ability to ask the question right away, so have some patience. And we'll get to the questions, and we'll make sure that everything is answered for you. And if we don't get to them by whatever reason, we will make sure to follow through with an email to you to get all of your questions answered at the very, very end. But again, I am delighted to be able to offer another cooking baking class with Helga, because again, she's our legend. She's amazing. And so enjoy all of the tips and treats and techniques that she's going to teach you to make these cakes. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Helga.
Okay. Yeah, I can speak just like that. Okay. Yeah, I guess so wonderful to have you join us baking two cakes today. And right there? Okay. And we'll start out with the apple cake. It's a very traditional apple cake, and it's very easy to make and quick to make if you need a quick dessert or for afternoon coffee if somebody announces themselves to come and visit you, and so it can be done rather fast. I have all the ingredients is ready to go, and we just go step by step. I need my okay, just quick. So I softened the butter. It got a little bit too soft, I guess, but that's okay because we add the sugar. And where is my? Oh, I got that in the refrigerator for the whipped cream to cool. The beater. All right. So. Would help to plug it in. There we go. Okay. So we'll beat the butter for a moment, and then we add the sugar. Kind of let it slowly drizzle into the butter, so it's and we can add a little vanilla, and I think you don't want too much because we rather have a little more the lemon flavor, and we will add I put 1/4 of a teaspoon vanilla in here, and I guess I have sitting there. It just will be a moment, and we'll be ready with the rest of it here. I always like to crack the eggs before, away from the bowl, so you don't get any eggshells into the batter. Okay, I gotta turn the oven on. It just will be a little bit yet. It's coming along just fine. I don't know if the people can see that. Can they see that? Okay. We'll start maybe putting just one egg in there first. Then we'll stop it for a moment to scrape the sides. It's very important to get everything nicely incorporated, so you get a nice even baking batter. We'll just get it whipped up a little bit yet. Okay, I turn this off. So I have just now one egg in there. I always like to add damit I'm talking half German here, so we can. If you put the eggs, even if they're sometimes room temperature, it can make the butter curdle, and therefore you will not get a nice smooth cake part. And so I'm just going to add a few teaspoons or tablespoons of flour, and then we'll mix that up nicely. Then we have one more egg to add and more of the add this. I stop it for a moment to scrape the sides, and that's a very important thing to do. And now we can add the rest of the flour. We have all our ingredients in the batter right now, and then we can put it in our spring form.
Helga, there was one question. Was that vanilla that you put in the cake?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think we may have forgotten that on the written recipe, so we'll update that.
I like to mention I'm sort of a lemon person. I don't so, and but if people many times they like to add, it's an option, so you don't have to have it. But if you like a lemony flavor, then you leave it as the recipe say. If you like a little vanilla with it, then that's what you do.
Okay, great, thank you.
So now we just kind of scrape the sides yet real good and get everything incorporated. So you have, it's not really a batter, but it's a little heavy falling dough like this. It has to fall heavy from the spoon, from the spatula. So, and then we also like to check to make sure we got all our ingredients in first before we put it in the spring form. And we don't have the lemon yet. So I have grated the lemon zest before already, so we're ready to go. And we also like to add a little bit of the lemon juice. So we have fresh lemon juice from fresh lemons here. Get rid of the seeds. These little lemons are so juicy, they just run away. It's amazing. So we squeeze that in. Let's see, have to fish out a few of these. So,
everyone must be hard at work because we don't have a lot of questions yet.
Yeah, see, I think they have to do what I'm doing right now. So that's a good thing because then we can catch up here. Now we have the dough exactly the way we want it, and it will go into our spring form. Now you can either spray your spring form or you can lay it out with parchment paper. I always like parchment paper because it's easy clean up afterwards, and
I just get a little closer to you, Helga?
yeah, I can do that, yes. So, okay. I think I just want to get Let's just kind of walk around with it because it's kind of sticky here. The easiest way is it also when you have a soup spoon, and then it's a little smaller than what I have here. So you don't have to do it exactly to the very edge, because when we put the apples on, that will take care of it then. I prepared the apples before already, and that's probably what you like to do too if you make it at home. So, and let's see, I had one that wasn't cut yet, so, but well, it doesn't matter. Anyway, what you do, you quarter the apples, and a medium-sized apple would be really very good. I probably should have started out with the apples. And then you just cut little ridges in there and put it on around the edges. So, and when it bakes, it kind of comes up between the apples. So, and I had 6 apples here. We'll see how far that goes. So we line them all up, and it looks very pretty when it's baked, so I think.
Helga, someone asked, what kind of apple do you like best?
I like actually the Gala apple, but you know, lately I baked one last week and I felt that the apples didn't have really much flavor. Normally it does. So this time I bought the Pink Lady. And I tasted it. It is a very good tasting apple. So, but if you have a favorite, you may use whatever you know what you like best.
We have one more apple question. How deep do you score the apple?
To store them?
Score?
Yeah. Yeah, you
deep?
just hold that quarter one, and then you just go with the knife like this. Just but not all the way through, just maybe a quarter inch.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you.
And of course, you can, if you do them ahead of time, sometimes I do it as I go along, then they don't get brown. But you can toss them in a little lemon juice, and I think that is mentioned in the recipe. Well, we didn't use quite. Now in the spring fond, this is a 26 centimeter. That's about almost 11 inches. So if that is of importance, so. Okay. Now our oven is not hot enough yet. We had a little problem lighting it. So let me see. Yeah, we'll give it a moment and then we put it in. And in the meantime, we will start with the other apple, with the other cake. And
So while you're prepping for the next cake, I have a couple questions for you, Helga.
yeah, we'll do that. We can work and talk.
Okay, with Apfelkuchen being just a very traditional cake, what are some, besides the Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte, what are some other cakes that are just, we think of German, what would be another cake?
Another cake. Let's see what we have in this cookbook. This is what I wrote a few years back. And I think in cakes, we have here, that's a very popular, that's what is called ein Rehrücken, a deer back. And in Germany, when the hunter comes home and they have a deer back roast, because the meat could be a little dry, so they call it spicken, they put bacon in it, into the back. Well, here they created a cake. Instead of course, having meat, you make it with ground hazelnuts, and the speck or the bacon are the almonds. So, so that's one. And then, of course, there are the most wonderful yeast dough cakes, and they're almost my favorite. I love yeast dough cakes, and they can be made as a Gugelhupf. Everybody knows about that. It's very popular in Austria, Switzerland, and Germany. And then there is also the sheet cakes, the Blechkuchen it's called. And
was there a cinnamon sugar that goes on top of the apple?
Thank you, I forgot it. I have that right here, cinnamon sugar.
Thanks for the tip. We have a lot going
Thank
on
you for
in the
reminding.
kitchen.
I mean, I just, with that oven, it kind of thrown me off a little bit of timing, and it was just.
Someone wants to see the top of the cake, so what you didn't know. Oops, there it is.
So.
That looks delicious.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's hot enough. We can put it now in the oven. So we have to watch it up. We don't have a timer. So it's about 30 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes. So are there any other questions? Otherwise,
That's all the questions so far.
I think I'm going to.
I have one other question for you. I noticed that you start with chilled bowls.
Yeah,
Is
for
that
the
important?
whipped cream. It's for the whipping cream. And it's good to have it chilled. And of course, and I have the, oh, I got the water running here. Yeah, this, you know, somebody is sort of was a little, they turn it up in the back sometimes, and I don't know that. No, it doesn't want to, there. Okay.
So there's a question about the cookbook. What is the name of the
cookbook?
The cookbook
It's
you're
Cooking the
referencing?
German Way.
Okay.
It's not in print anymore, of course.
Oh.
It's been such a long time ago when that was done. And it's one of about 23 different countries, you know, so yeah, and it was written for children. Yeah, for school. It was only available in the school library. Okay. Now I can talk a little bit about the black forest, or is somebody asking? Okay.
So we just had one question. How thick should the layer of apples on the apple cake be? Like how thick is the
How
layer
thick?
of apples?
Well, it's just the size of the apple itself. You don't have to layer the apples. Yeah, just one layer, yeah. So. Okay, let's see. Got that going. I actually have the black forest already baked, but I thought I'd like to make it fresh, you know, so, but we'll get to that. And we'll prepare the filling for the black forest first, so we have it ready when the cake part is ready. So, and I have here in my pan, I had mentioned to use the pie filling, and it is too liquidy, so we have to add a little cornstarch so we can put it on the plate, so it's when you slice a piece of black forest cherry tart, then you have, it doesn't ooze out, you know, it stays put. So we'll so I just put a little bit of the sauce part in a saucepan with a few cherries, and I have here the cornstarch with the water, and when this is heated, we add that to it. Nice is if you have fresh cherries, or you know, I have a cherry tree, sour cherry tree in my yard. That's where the blossoms come from. So, but unfortunately, some critic gets at my tree before I do. So sometimes, so we very seldom have the cherries for ourselves. But it's wonderful to have the fresh cherries. Or you can also buy them. I used to be able to buy it at Trader Joe or the World Market, a jar of the Morelos, they're called, and there you proceed the same way as it is mentioned in the recipe. So I just added, this has to come to a little boil. I just added the cornstarch. It looks kind of pinkish right now, but it will come through when it comes to a little boil. And it's good to stir it all the time, otherwise it will burn on you. There we go. It has to be like this. It comes out in the color a little darker, than it was. So, okay, I shut the eye. With this going is a little. So we added to the cherries. Okay, I prepared some of the cake already, and so we can start. We don't have to wait for the baking part. I also like to mention, before we go on with this, there are many versions of the Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte. I use the Dr. Oetker recipe. This is just like a cookbook, like the Betty Crocker cookbook is, I think every household has that, and Dr. Oetker cookbook or backbook is in every household in Germany, I think. So. And actually the Dr. Oetker, we are not doing that today, but I'm going to show you, starts out with a layer of, it's a short bread. And actually this is where you would put the cherries. Or first you will have the Kirschwasser. So, and, but we are doing it just the way it is mentioned in the cookbook. And I don't think the Kirschwasser is mentioned because the cookbook was written for children, so, yeah. There are some recipes that could be maybe a layer of white cake, and some like it a real dark chocolate. But I kind of like, this is a little different with the cinnamon, a touch of cinnamon and the cocoa. And then, let's see, we have to put the spoon. And what makes really the Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte is the Kirschwasser. That is what makes the Schwarzwälder Kirsch. So we'll just put a little drizzle. And I think the recipe calls for about a half a cup of, you just drizzle that over it, out on the edges. A little louder now. So now we can put on top of here, we put the cherries. See that little bit of cornstarch, just enough so when you cut slices, it won't ooze out, it will stay put. So.
Helga, maybe I can ask you a question while it's a little quieter.
Yeah. Okay.
Someone, Janet asked, do we add 2 tablespoons cornstarch to the cherries or 2 teaspoons?
What does it say in the recipe?
She said later the directions say 2 teaspoons, so we can look
it's
in the
2
cookbook.
Tablespoons. It says tablespoons, yeah.
Okay. There you
I
go.
don't know how the recipe was written, I had given her the recipe like that, you know. So the Apfelkuchen is coming along. So
and I think, Helga, I missed one question. Do you grease the pan and the parchment paper?
no, you do. Now I had here a non-stick pan. Then you don't have to do that. But if you have a sticky pan, then yeah, you have to butter it and dust it with flour, or you just use the parchment paper. And the parchment here comes very easily off, actually. It's not a problem. So, oh, we gotta get the whipped cream on here now.
I feel like a documentary filmmaker right now.
Yeah, so
That looks really delicious.
it's the sour cherries are the most perfect fruit for this kind of a cake. So, and then we'll top it with the other layer here. And we'll repeat that. We have some more cherries. It's getting already sticky, so Schnittfest, they call it in Germany. So, oh yeah, I forgot it now. See, we can still do that. Sorry about that. So, yeah, okay. So let's see, the chefs, they do that like so too, that we can do that. So, okay. You can smell the liquor. Let's see, I don't have a, oh, here is my spoon. I want to, all right, this is it now. So we'll put the next one on. First we do the whipped cream. Now in Germany, I have that here. I didn't put it in because if you make it ahead of time, then the whipped cream has some water in it, and this is something that absorbs the water, so it keeps for quite a few days. And it's called Sahne-Steif. It's also by Dr. Oetker, of course, and we will use that for when we decorated the top. But for here, it is okay without it, or if you use it right away, then it's just fine too.
There's a question on the cake flour. Mary asks, for the cake, it says half cup plus 2 tablespoons of flour. Is it really just 1 cup of flour? Or excuse me,
yeah,
it's a half cup.
It's a half a cup, isn't it? Yeah, the recipe. It's a have to beat it by me. Yeah, it's a half a cup plus 2 tablespoons, and then you have a tablespoon of cocoa, and also cornstarch that comes down. Yeah, 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. So that gives you almost a cup of flour mixture. So, and okay, we can put this on top. It gets pretty nice and high. So and let's see, I've misplaced my little teaspoon. Oh, here it is. There it is. So we also drizzle this with a little Kirschwasser, the top. Okay, that's enough with the Kirschwasser. So I'm going to beat this a little bit yet with one of these. Now this here, you can buy these, the Sahnesteig.
Can you hold it up again?
Bayerlis has it, Bayerlis Lanz, and then also, like on Deutsche Tage, Erika Neidert, in her shop, she has that for sure, I think. You know, so. So we're going to beat that up a little bit yet. And I don't know where it's that.
You have the Bahnsteig? Can I see the Bahnsteig?
Yeah. I have to cut this little tricky.
Someone wanted to know how to spell it, so.
Oh, uh-huh.
Helga, could I ask one more question? There's a question about cherry liqueur or Kirschwasser. Are they interchangeable?
It's totally different.
Different, okay.
Yeah, cherry liqueur is a cordial, and it's kind of sweet and sticky. And Kirschwasser is like schnapps, you know, so it's a clear, like it shows here, and very flavorful. So, this is. All right. Oh yeah, here is my little thing. What I think is so nice, the Kirschwasser is rather expensive to buy in a liquor store, and it comes in bigger bottle than this. And but in Germany you can buy them in little boxes, in little cans like that, so you don't have to buy a whole bottle, because if you don't care to drink it afterwards, you know. So then this is just perfect for the for the baker, for the pastry chef. So I just thought I'd like to point that out. And so now here you have it a little stiffer, and we'll distribute that. Okay, now here we got a little on the tablecloth, and we'll take a knife. So it's just very nice to work with when you have that Sahnestoff in there. I don't like to have it too thick, unless you really like to eat the whipped cream, you know. If you have but I think if you get it on thin as possible, that would be just sufficient, because these layers are not really that thick. So how is the cake?
Oh, good.
5 more minutes. We'll take a look. Oh yeah, it's coming along just fine. Isn't that great? Yeah. So, thank you to that person what reminded me of the cinnamon sugar. Who was that? Ursula. Oh, okay, I know it, Ursula. Yeah. So it takes a little bit to do this now, so bear with me. I put these little strips of paper under it so you don't mess up the plate underneath. Need a little more. Now it doesn't really have a lot of decorations, the Black Forest, the Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte, but I think the flavor of it is more important than to put a lot of decorations on, because so. Just even it out a little bit, and that's about it as far as the covering here, the frosting. And then what we also do is I already grated the chocolate, but I show you what I did with it, how I did it to get this here. You have this little paring knife, and you just shave the baking chocolate or any chocolate of your taste. I like the bittersweet. And this is another thing about German baking, it's not so terribly sweet. It's not done with a lot of sugar. You can cover the whole thing like this. You can put on as much or as little as you like. Do the rest like so. So I think that should do it. And then we get the cherries. Oh.
They're always so hard to open.
Yeah, it is. I should have had that open before. I don't know, is there something around it? Yeah, okay. There. I think we have to take the cake out. It looks like it's done. Yeah, that'll be fine. We can test it with the knife. If it comes out clean, then we're okay. Yeah, it is perfect. Okay. So it's all done.
Helga, there's a question about using frozen sour cherries. Can you use thawed sour cherries for the filling? And if so, how much water or cornstarch would you add?
You pretty much, I would maybe double like the recipe says, and then add it carefully, you know, as you need it, because it all depends how much juice is in the cherries too, you know, so it's hard, you kind of have to feel your way through a little bit. So. I'm going to kind of zwei, vier, sechs, 10. Okay, and now we can do a little bit of decorations. Well, I can't, okay. Let's place my spoon. So we'll just put a few rosettes on here.
So pretty.
Oopsie. No, it doesn't want to say. Come on. Well, come on. No,
They're stubborn.
it is very stubborn. Should have my little knife here to push it in. So, well, so, okay. And to top it off, we'll put
Yes.
the cherries on top. So, and this is it. You can take these off. There we go. So, should we cut into it, Linda? What do you think? Yeah, so I get a platter for the other one, but we have plenty of time yet, no?
Oh, we have a couple questions coming in.
Oh, okay.
Should we
All right,
get
let's
into
do
those?
that.
Thank you. I just had time to catch up and read them. So, Janet asks.
We can we'll shut that off.
Oh, good.
This
Okay.
is so
It's very loud in the kitchen. Thank
Yeah,
you
it's
all
very,
for bearing with us.
interfering with
Right.
talking.
So we have a question from Janet. How would you apply the shavings to the side of the cake?
Well, normally you don't, but if you do, you can. What I probably, instead of the shavings, I would put a croquant. That is toasted almonds, or you grind the almonds or chop them coarsely and then put them in it with a little butter and sugar in the frying pan, and then you get the croquant, and then you start, put it around, and then you just lift it up, so. But mostly, I have to say, the Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte is always like this, so.
And Philip had a question about the recipe. I think let's see. He says in the cake batter on the list it says 2 tablespoons, and on the instructions it says 2 teaspoons. So we might have to just look back at the recipe for that.
Yeah, okay. That's on the Schwarzwälder Kirsch.
Yeah.
So 2 tablespoons of what?
I believe
Flour. Well, it's the batter for the cake. I have
Oh,
to.
I'm sorry. It's for the filling.
Oh, for the filling.
Cornstarch.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we have enough time yet to make the dough for the cake, so we can do that yet, and then we can show it step by step, But for the filling, yeah, it's just a 1/4 cup water, and then you also, of course, have the sauce from the pie filling, and then 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Yeah, what I did here, I just warmed up part of I fished mostly the cherries out and had more the sauce, and I added, heated up, and then added the 1/4 cup stirred up with the cornstarch. And then you cook that until it bubbles and it changes color, it gets darker. So, would that answer the question?
Please let us know if we answered your question. Thank you.
Okay. So, I wanted to get a cake platter, and we put that cake on the.
Just going to grab a pan, and then I think we'll make the the batter.
Oh,
So we'll walk through that with everyone.
I guess we don't
Thanks.
have them anymore. Our cake platters. I use this one here then. So, well, we can just leave it on here like that rather than taking it off. So now, okay, should we cut into it and then see what it looks like on the plate? And I have another plate here. We don't
I just
need-
have a question for you. Besides coffee, what would be a beverage that would go well with this? Oh, a certain wine? What would you have with this?
I
as a
think for
beverage?
wine, I probably would suggest a Gewürztraminer, that is a white wine. And then there is a beautiful, what is it called now? Blauburgunder. And it comes from that wine region of the Black Forest. So that would be good with it. And then, of course, there's tea. And there are so many different types of teas available these days, not only the black tea or green tea. So, okay. Let's see, I have to get a knife to cut it, and then hopefully it all comes out nice.
So Helga is just looking for a knife. We'll be back shortly.
Okay, let's see. So maybe we'll start with, I wanted actually to make also for you, I bought gluten-free,
Oh, you're so
but it just didn't turn out that way. So, yeah, so here we are. We'll put that. And then, of course, you can put also whipped cream, Look how nice and fluffy the dough is.
Oh, yeah.
Or many times you just put a dollop on the side.
Or both.
If you like whipped cream, that's maybe how you would like to do it. Okay.
Look how nice.
So we have that, and should I go over there if we cut into here? Yeah, maybe that'd be better. I always cut it in half first. Of course, when it sits now in the refrigerator for a while, it'll be easier to cut, so, but it's a little fresh, but we don't have that much time. So, and, I don't know if I want to balance that over there. So here we are. So, there we go. You can do it like that too, if it turns out that way. So, yeah. Yeah, see, when it's in a refrigerator, then it won't integrate with the cherry so much, then the Sahne-Steif helps to fast to. But you see, this is, as you see, it's not a real dark cake.
Yeah.
A lot of people expect it to be really dark, like the cake mixes are, That's sort of a little bit the American way to do it, So, but that's why I say it's not only one way to make the Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte. You can also, if you have a good recipe for a chocolate cake, then use that. I mean, that would be really awesome for that, really. And proceed the same way. Just make 3 layers of the chocolate cake of your favorite recipe and proceed exactly the way we did it here. So. Mm-hmm. Do we have time to make the dough, or should we? Yeah, let's do it. I have everything measured out, you know, so it's
Okay, we had one more question on the Apfelkuchen.
Yeah.
How much vanilla would you use if you don't use lemon?
well, I would say like a half a teaspoon, not too much. Yeah, yeah.
Someone also asked, do you ever serve cheese with Apfeltorte?
So what,
Do you ever serve cheese?
cheese?
Yeah.
No, never heard of
does
that. I
the-
did the first time I ever heard you eat like apple pie with cheese. You know? Frank told me about that. He said, "Oh, it's good with apple pie." You know, I said, "Cheese and apple," you know. So, well, yeah, I guess you, if you want to, you know. But I rather would have whipped cream with it. You know, that's what I would do. Okay, so now we're going to make a little noise again because we have to whip first the egg whites. Oh, I got to get a different bowl. I don't have to take that out of the...
Helga's just going to go get a clean bowl so we can start the Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte dough.
It's a good thing we have more than one mixer we can interchange. So, now I always whip the egg whites in first, and then I set it aside. And this way you don't have to wash the bowls. Okay, I have it'll be just a moment till we have the egg whites all whipped, and it has to be nice and stiff, not otherwise it's like a sponge cake. That's what it is actually, you know, it's like a sponge cake. If you don't have the egg whites whipped too good, then it doesn't rise. So we'll just scrape the sides and maybe whip it through one more time because it's a little bit too soft yet. It has to be a little... So I'm just showing how it's, yeah, you know, it should be nice and stiff that it forms these big peaks.
Oh wow.
Okay.
I feel like I've tried to do that by hand and it's not the same.
but it used to be, you know, when I grew up, there was no mixer in the house, you know, so, and it was really, we took turns beating with the Schneebesen, was the whip, you know, so I'm just going to just use the very same bowl again to go now to the egg yolks. Okay, we do the, oh, here we are. And let's see, I had the sugar somewhere. Oh, here, we have the sugar. We're going to it's always important to scrape the sides so you get everything incorporated. Now this should get nice and light yellow, more creamy color, you know, and then you're ready to add the rest of the things. Add a little, the warm water has to be added. I think I have to. It takes a little longer because it's just a small portion in that big bowl, you know. In your home, at home it's a little different. You have a smaller mixer and it works a lot better and easier. But we're getting there. Yeah, that's a little problem. Linda, maybe you'd like to eat a piece. Get yourself a fork, but you can't have it, right? Yeah, get yourself a fork and have it, or you can take it home if you like.
And Helga, how much water did you add?
It was a third of a cup.
A third of a cup. So, yeah.
It's getting there, but it's so not much in that bowl, you know, so. My mixer at home is a little bit smaller. I have one like this, but it's a little smaller. Okay, we'll just proceed. We'll add the flour because we already have our cake made, so we don't have to. Okay, it's so noisy, that machine, so we'll do the rest by hand.
Helga, there's a question.
Yeah?
Did you add anything previously besides sugar to the egg whites?
No,
Okay, so just egg
but
whites
you
and
can
sugar.
you can do that. Do half with the egg yolks and half the sugar with the egg whites. That works out okay too. So one can do that also. So now we're going to add here. We have
So Helga, would you say it's 1/3 cup water combined with the egg yolks? Is
Yeah.
the question? Yes. Okay.
yes, yeah. So we add the lemon juice. These are cute little lemons, but I use the whole one. If you have a bigger lemon, you just use a smaller one. Then I add the lemon juice and the zest. We'll add that. And then we'll add the, now we don't want to beat in the egg white, you kind of lift it through. We'll do this a little bit first. So you just kind of, you don't want to beat it because you lose all the air, which makes the cake rise, you know, so I just swirl it in there like this.
Oh, someone asked, where does the lemon go and how much?
The lemon goes, I put it right in here. And it was either of a half of a medium size or these little ones what I had, you know, that I took the whole thing. I like lemon in things, so I don't mind putting a little extra in. So we have this incorporated. Now we're going to add the rest of the egg white. That's the hardest thing to do because it's really not so easy to mix that in. Just have to be very careful.
Someone asked, is there any baking powder or baking soda?
Yeah, it should be in the recipe. See, I don't have the recipe what
You don't have it
Bettina
in front
put.
of you, right?
I only have the one what I have.
I don't have.
So, see, there should be. Yeah, there's a half a teaspoon baking powder in there. That should be in that recipe though, because I gave it a copy of this here. Well, this looks nice and fluffy, so you see how that is when you don't have to be too concerned to mix it totally. You don't want to stir it too much, you know, so, but this looks just fine. So we're going to put that in. Now I only have two. Let's see. I saw. Now I'm going to line this with the parchment paper. I saw another pan out there. We want to make 3 of them. So, okay. It's a little too much. You want to use every little bit of it.
Spread it all the way to the end of the
Yeah, it should, but somehow it takes a little bit to do that.
Yeah.
So and yeah. Now we can leave that for the helpers, for the staff for tomorrow, the cake, you know, so I'll take a piece for myself.
Would anyone like some cake? No. We didn't plan that part in advance.
So, okay, we'll put them in the oven. That probably takes they're a little thinner for some reason. Now the cake was a little warm, that's why that whipping cream, it is so warm. Yeah, so I'm just wondering, anybody has any questions yet, or we're pretty much done then for the, yeah, so.
Well, we would like to thank Helga very much for being part of today's presentation. And we would also like to encourage you to bake one of these or both of these at your house. Mm-hmm. And maybe you could make one for Mother's Day tomorrow or for another one. So, and if you bake a cake and you have pictures or something that you have done, we would love to see them. Share your pictures, share your stories.
That's a nice idea.
And we can have our cake virtually. So thank you again, Helga. It was
thank you for having me, and
real
thank
pleasure.
you. I appreciate it. I enjoyed doing it. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And we hopefully could have an in-person cooking class again sometime.
Oh,
maybe.
Not in the summer, I'm sure.
Not in the summer. But yeah.
I think people just don't want to. Yeah.
But send us your suggestions for what maybe you would like to learn to cook.
Yeah, that would be
Everyone.
nice to hear.
Yeah.
See what you say, what the interest is. So
Well, there are a lot of messages, Helga, thanking you here. Sorry, Helga can't see the chat, but we will share your messages with her.
thank you very much.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone. We will go ahead